Hello Internet, my name is Vic. Welcome to I just wanted to give an update on what happened with my car, and then we'll get into the main thing. I found out from that mechanic the cost of what needs to be done for it to maybe run is double the amount that I paid to get the car. I don't even want to put that kind of money into it. I'm just gonna leave that as it is. So I got him towed to me. That's not stopping me, and I'm not gonna let it. It's a lot to get into right now, but I need to talk about it. I've had issues with my mom and my family ever since I came out as lesbian in high school. They made the executive decision to pull me out of school in my last semester of senior year. In that time, they claimed they were going to homeschool me the last 2 classes I needed, but in reality, my mom just had me read 1 book, write a paper on it. Our family friend tutored me in math. I failed the exam 3 times because I didn't retain any of the information. And she didn't really even teach me. She just kind of gave me worksheets. That was the parameters. In summer, when everyone was graduating, my parents went online and printed a diploma and filled in the blanks with my name and handed it to me. My parents don't have a homeschool certification, and they definitely didn't have the material needed to give me an education. I just said fuck it. Both sets of my grandparents went to the church that I grew up in. My parents went to the same church that I grew up in. I'm their only child. My parents and my grandparents are boomers, and I'm a millennial. All those facts into place, my family has been brainwashed in their religion. A church that teaches only certain laws we pick and choose out of Leviticus, which is before Jesus died on the cross. I believe Jesus was a person, and there is proof that he existed, but he was just a man, and he was doing his thing, talking about his belief in his God. He gained a following. There have been other religious figures that have done that. Jesus came and he died. And in Christianity, they believe that he died, and everyone who sinned has the chance to repent through him to get to heaven. That's what they believe. That's fine. I'm not going to bash anyone's beliefs. We can have different beliefs and opinions. As long as there's a mutual respect there, I can be friends with you, totally. Unless you're racist, homophobic, transphobic. If you are those things, I don't want you in my life. There are things that have been done to me through those years growing up in a church like that. They were trying to get me to follow and believe everything that they were preaching to me blindly. We're gonna cram all this shit into our kids' head and have them believe in God. I don't remember this from personal experience. I just remember this from them telling me. But at 4 years old, they claimed that I accepted Jesus as my personal savior. He came into my life, and I believed in him fully, and I had faith in him at 4 years old. I also know for a fact, and I know it happened because I witnessed it, because I was freaking there. My brain did not let me shut this part out. When I turned 7, that's when my father started abusing me physically. He was a drunk, an alcoholic, and he did these things to me. But he also went to this church. He had preached to the congregation the word of God. Only holy men are supposed to get up there, live their lives as good, honest. They pray all the time, have good morals. But he did all these things behind closed doors and would go to church every Sunday. To me, someone who is religious like that shouldn't be abusing their kid. He did until I was 17 and stood my ground. So 10 years. This was right before they had pulled me out of school, but they had found out I had a girlfriend and they were losing their shit. I ran away at one point. They got me back and the police got involved, but because I was 17 and a minor, I didn't get arrested. So they brought me back. My dad was yelling at me, calling me names, calling me the F slur. And I looked at him and I was like, you can't make me be straight and a Christian. And I'm done. I'm not going to church anymore. I'm done with this shit. I don't believe it. Because I cursed at him and because I slammed the door upstairs when I got to my room, he came running up there and tried bursting in. I held the door as much as I could, but I was a little guy. I hadn't started tea yet. I think now I could take my dad in a fight. Back then I could not, because he would easily overpower me. He busted my door down and picked me up and threw me onto the bed, and then he stopped. And I was like, fuck you. If you put another hand on me, I will call the police. And ACAB till the day I die. But at the time, that was the right thing to say because it got him away from me. He left me alone after that. At that point in time, my mom and I had been really close prior to me coming out. But then all that shit hit the fan. My mom distanced herself from me. Mom wasn't medicated for her mental illnesses. She was acting out of pocket because she was letting her mental illness run rampant. I guess she didn't want to open up about that. My dad had never even opened up to a fucking therapist about his mental illnesses and didn't believe in mental illness. My mom was living with this guy and he was gaslighting her and guilting her and making her feel like she was a piece of shit all the time. And she felt like she was indebted to him because she married him. So she lives in this misogynistic relationship thinking everything is fine and okay. So my dad at this point is doing his own thing. He's avoiding his family. Me, I'm sitting in my room cooped up on the internet making friends. My mom is, I don't even know what the fuck she was doing. So it was a whole year of the 3 of us living under the same roof and never speaking to each other. And I know that was hard on them. It was hard on me. Here I was at 17 years old, supposed to be finishing it up and graduating with my friends and moving on to college and getting a degree and making something of myself, and I'm stuck in this goddamn prison of a house with two people who claim to be Christian. As a bright-minded individual, I've done a lot of drugs since then, but wow, I feel like I still have a sense of mind. But they would always talk positively about God and how God was a God of love and acceptance and wouldn't judge anyone by their cover, but just for their character. It was really weird how they were. I went to public school, I got exposed to all these other things, and I was like, beside the fact that you're not even acting like the God that you guys worship and teach about, but over here I'm hearing about other religions and other things that are way more peaceful. They just seem a lot better and a lot less hate and a lot less, I don't even know what to describe it as. So much hate and judgment and condemnation and condescending comments and snide remarks. Entitlement. Typically it comes from white, middle-aged Christians. What kind of pedestal are you putting yourself on? If you're reading the Bible the way it's written, not even a complete Bible, but if you're reading that and you're trying to follow that and be like God, you would not be up in my shit trying to tell me how to live my life. You would be trying to be there to be supportive and help me through hard times. I don't mean financially. People always jump and assume to like the financial degree. Not even there. It's more along the lines of principle that I was taught by my parents. Be kind to everyone. Be generous to everyone. Be respectful of everyone. But they didn't even do it to me, and they won't even do it to me. And that's what's so irritating about this whole fucking thing. 17 happened, and my dad was like, you need to get a job, and you need to pay your way through school. When you rip school out from under me, so now I have to go get my GED before I can even get anything else next. That little diploma that y'all printed me off, it's not gonna fly. My transcript literally says I dropped out after first semester. How the fuck am I gonna explain that to a school? That my parents pulled me out for being a lesbian? For liking women? What the fuck? So stupid. That all happened. When I turned 19, I was like, this is dumb. I'm out. I can't even be husband, wife, let alone mother, father. I moved home around 21. I had an even shittier time because I was back. My parents were like 10 times worse. They were sleeping in separate bedrooms at this point. They were just as strict as ever, and my dad would come home and like fucking yell at my mom, and then I would call him out for it, and then he'd yell at me for being a miserable, low-life piece of shit who couldn't hold a job or a house or a car. It would just turn into a pissing contest. I'm like, yo, you're just treating your woman like shit. Maybe you should stop. It's real funny coming from a guy who had a wife who wasn't even in love with him for the first year of their marriage. Yeah, Mom, you let that slip out. So I moved out again. I had to move back because financial reasons. After that, my dad was like, you can't come back anymore. After this, you're done. All right, bet. I can't live under your roof. You don't respect me as a person. And by now I was figuring out that I was maybe trans. I wasn't sure what it was called yet, but then I decided trans. And that's where, you know, y'all know this channel has started. Was my coming out video. That was my parents' back porch that I was sitting on. And if you notice, after the next couple videos, my location keeps changing. That's because I had to keep moving. Then I ended up moving to my aunt's house. My aunt was like, well, you gotta figure something out. I can't. I'm in a bind right now because I was just paying all my money to this apartment that I wasn't living in. And she was like, that's not my problem. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll just leave. So I left, as one would do, and I found another place to stay, and I stayed there for a while, got in another toxic relationship. I got out of that lease because I paid that off, so then I got a place with that person, and then after a year it got real toxic real fast. Then I ended up having to leave there, and I moved back in with my aunt for a brief period of time, like a month. She was like, all right, we can try again. I was like, okay, but then she kept pushing Christianity over on me. This is my boundary. Yeah, I'm your nephew, even though you call me your niece, and I'll help you do shit around the house to get some money here and there, but I will not tolerate the disrespect of being called my government. I almost slipped up and said it. Whew. I left again. And that was when I moved in with another person. That worked out for a while. And then I met my current girlfriend, and so I had to move in with them 2 hours away from here. So I moved back here, and now I've been living with them and their parents. That's cool. I started going to see my mom a little bit here and there. We still maintained a relationship. My mom has had a daughter for 23 years of her life. It is hard for her to make the change, but maybe once she sees how dedicated I am to my transition, how long I take hormones, then she'll be like, wow, he's really gonna do this for the rest of his life. I want my son in my life. You're my only kid. That would be great, but it's not happening. I've been out as trans for 5 years, and I'm almost 2.5 on hormones. Obviously, I'm still going through with this. Obviously, it's not just a phase. I'm not phased. I'm only here to sin. Like Lil Nas put it great. I would go over and hang out with her, but she would just call me by my government or use she like 100 times. It was almost like she was doing it a little extra just to be petty. She was really hanging on to it. The more I've been medicated and the more I've thought about it, the more I've just wanted to talk to her about this. I don't like how you don't even call me Vic. That's literally all I ask. I'm always like scared to bring up me being trans because every time we talked about it, it's turned into an argument. She literally said, maybe once you grow a beard and your voice is deeper and you appear more masculine, maybe it'll be easier for me. Nope. In my mind, it's been 2 whole years. I've obviously changed drastically. I'm at least a man from the waist up. She's even made comments about my binder, compressing me really well. And she's tried talking a little bit about my tea. She'll be like, oh, you're still taking your testosterone? And I'm like, yeah. And then it kind of ends there. We're so close. It's like every time I'm with her, it's that. So her birthday rolled around and I went to that. The whole time at the table, everyone's misgendering me. Everyone's calling me my government. And I'm like, this is why I don't like being around my family. I'm about to be 30 years old, an adult man. And I can't get the respect from my family to at least call me Vic. And it's funny because my mom's name is Deborah, but she goes by Debbie. That sounds to me like a preferred name, right, Debbie? So why can't you call me Vic if your friends and people who are close to you can call you Debbie? But that's not your real name. That doesn't say that on your birth certificate, does it, Debbie? Or, excuse me, Deborah. She may be like, I don't have a problem if people call me Deborah. Well, congratulations. I have a problem when people call me my government, and it makes me upset. It hurts me. I think I've seen my mom 2 other times since then. Both times, she just did that same thing again. So something needs to be said. When my car broke down and all this shit happened with my car, I wasn't asking for help. I was just informing her. She was like, oh no, I hope it's an easy fix. I gotta figure out getting another car. Then she was like, well, your job should help you. I told her that I no longer worked at Amazon. She was like, oh, okay. Was asking why, and well, I told her that I got laid off and there wasn't enough work. That is what it is. So I left, and DoorDash was working better for me when I had a car. That did bite me in the ass, but that's my responsibility. There's always money in other places, and I've had to hustle like that because mental health plays a big part in me being able to work and work good. And if my mental health is not good, and if I hate what I'm doing, I'm not going to be able to stay. And you would think my mom with... See, why would you want to work for a company whose backup sound is that? Then she was like, yeah, life does go on, blah, blah, blah. After that, I followed with, it's kind of sad that I can't go to my blood family for advice or help because they won't even acknowledge the fact that I'm trans, and it's disrespectful. She hit me with a government. We have helped you many times. Your aunt has gotten you 2 or 3 cars, which I'm not gonna front. She has helped me get vehicles and helped me out there, and I am grateful to her for that. And I've paid her for that, all that I could. But my mom, she threw that shit in my face, and she was like, oh, your aunt's bought you 2 or 3 cars? We and your aunt have offered for you to live here. You don't currently pay rent or a car payment, but you're broke. That was so disrespectful. She doesn't know my financial situation. No, I don't pay rent right now, and I also do not pay a car payment because I paid my car off. And I also just got plates for it. And it broke down. And, oh, rent? I'm sorry. Oh, I don't have to pay rent because the people I live with are nice enough to see that I'm struggling financially. So they've offered to let me stay here if I help out around the house. I'm sorry, what? Oh, I'm always broke, but my bills are always paid. I have a phone that's on. I have insurance on a car that's broken down. I actually have my money managed, what money I do have, but I literally just told her, you don't know my financial situation. And I also mentioned the fact that I don't feel comfortable being around my family because they're condemning me to hell, and they're constantly making me feel like being trans is a problem and a sin. In the Bible, it says, I was made in God's image, and God doesn't make mistakes, right? So if you're viewing me as one of God's creations, then you would see that God has not made a mistake. However, I am trans. In your religion's mind, you're viewing it as God made a mistake or as I'm making the mistake by mutilating my body. But either way, it's my body, my choice. Based on your beliefs or not, they're not my beliefs. You're trying to project your beliefs onto me, and I've clearly told you that they are not for me. Politely, nicely. And you still continue to try and push them over on me, so guess what? I'm not being nice anymore. I've tried to be patient, I've tried to wait, I've tried to be understanding, I literally changed my name to Vic to make it easier on my family. The name kind of fits me, yeah, but I've thought several times about changing it to something completely unrelated to my family because I don't want any association with that shit. They're disrespectful, they don't listen to common reason because they still view me as a child, as a little girl, in fact. They don't view me with a voice. They still have that generational gap. You're a woman, your place is below the man, you're nothing. And you trying to make yourself a man is not gonna change my conviction of you being a woman. I've been told that before. Not by my parents, but by some other religious bitch that I almost fought in a parking lot. But anyway, that's another story for another video. But basically, I told my mom that I was done. I said, I love you, and I know you love me, but not all of me, and that hurts. I have my mental illnesses. It's genetic, but also because my dad abused me, and whether or not you believe it, she claimed he would never do that. He's a good Christian man. He may get angry sometimes, but he would never do that. He would never put a hand on you. You're confusing hitting with spanking. Am I? Is it spanking enough to leave a bruise that I have to explain to, like, my friends at school? Is spanking to the face? Is spanking throwing shit at your child? No, it's not. Is emotional abuse spanking? No. There was so much unsaid, like, that I've not told my mom about that my dad has said to me or about my mom. I've tried to protect her from, but it's the fact that I've done all these things for my mom. I've adapted to her mental illness when she wasn't medicated. I adapted to try and, like, be there for her, to be the parent. My mom's been my friend before she's even been a mother. And I've tried to be patient with that, and I've tried to, like, adapt to helping her and being there for her and loving her for who she is. And she can't even do that for me. I'm done. I'm done. I am done. I told her I'm done, and I mean that I'm done. But that leaves me feeling hurt. That leaves me feeling like a piece of me is missing, because I got really close to my mom. I've had really good times with her. I see myself as genderless in those times, but my mom sees me as her daughter. That really fucks with me, because it's like she's stuck and she's fragmented, and it's almost like me coming out was a trauma for her. It just was. And my mom being in her state of mind and not being medicated and struggling, I think it broke a piece in her. I feel bad in a way, but I also feel like she and my father have both contributed to breaking pieces of my mind, and I couldn't help that, but my parents could have. Especially my mom, like, I'm really hurt about. This is my mom, dude. Like, this hits home. The more I take tea, the more I look like my father. You know, like, I can't fix genetics. I look a lot like him, and that bothers me a lot. It's just a lot to unpack. I think it's just really hard for me because I've been such a mom's boy, because I love my mom to death, and I couldn't really get close to my dad after that, like the abuse part. And he quit drinking, and he stopped being less of an abusive person, but he's more of just an asshole now. My mom, like, we used to have fun together. We used to hang out and do stupid shit. She's where I get most of my humor from. I love her, but she's just so toxic, and I don't think she realizes it. But she has so much trauma that she hasn't worked through yet that it's affecting me. And my dad, he has way too much trauma to even start and begin to, like, unpack. But that's why he doesn't even try with me. I think he knows it better than my mom does. My mom just plays the victim, and that's what she's used to doing. Obviously, me coming out as trans affects my parents. She sees that I make the effort, so if she could just make the effort as well, she knows that I'd be more than happy to hang out with her and spend time with her and get close again. But until she settles that and becomes at peace with that and her, then we can't have a relationship. And I know I've said it several times in my past videos, but you kind of make your own family. Blood is not thicker than water. Sometimes you just can't even trust your own blood to respect you, to just see you as a human being. There is a part of me that is hollow to my parents. I can't feel because I've spent so many years repressing what I felt about my parents. That's an update on me. So I officially have cut off all my blood family. I'm taking applications for family. I have several people that are already saying they're my mom, so I think that position is filled. I need, like, a whole big family, like brothers, sisters, cousins, aunts, uncles, dads. You know, those positions are still open. I'm learning that I've got to let go of them in order to move on. I really think lately it's just been, like, pushed into my face that I need to cut that out because it's just going to keep happening. I know it's something that was needed to be said and taken care of. And I typed her out a very well-worded text message that was 5 pages, but she left me on red. So the ball is in her court. I did end it with "I love you," and I told her that, and I mean it, and I hope that she read that and knew that I meant it. Drop a lot more truth on her that she was probably not willing to face. I'll keep y'all updated if she does even reach out, but that shows me the effort she's willing to put in on her part. I hope y'all have a better day than I've been having, and a better week than I've been having. Really struggling here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video of whatever I make.